This man walking around in Mexico's extremely high security prison is not an ordinary person, but the world's biggest and most dangerous drug smuggler, El Chapo. Special CCTV cameras are installed in his cell, through which he is monitored 24 hours a day. His cell has no ventilator and no window, only a shower area in the corner. The interesting part is that despite such tight security and surveillance, El Chapo walks toward the shower area and then disappears from the sight of the security staff again. After half an hour, when they became suspicious, they went inside the cell, but the world's biggest drug smuggler had already escaped. Where and how did he escape from? Let's take a look at El Chapo's life and his escape. In 1957, in a small town in Mexico, El Chapo was born. His real name is Joaquin Guzman, but later he gave himself the name El Chapo. His habit of drug trading came to him through inheritance. His father, who himself was a small-time drug dealer, threw El Chapo out of the house at a young age. El Chapo had no source of income to survive, and when he couldn't find anything, he also started selling drugs. At just the age of 15, he started growing drugs himself. He would choose a deserted area for himself and grow marijuana there. Gradually, his drug trading increased so much that big drug dealers in Mexico wanted to include him in their gangs. In the 1970s, he joined a drug trading gang named El Güero Palma. In this gang, he used to oversee drug smuggling, and he was so strict in his work that whenever a delivery was late or even a slight mistake happened, he would kill the dealer. In 1980, he joined the gang of the then most famous drug dealer, Pedro Aviles. This gang was the biggest drug trading gang in Mexico. In this gang as well, El Chapo was given responsibility for logistics and drug shipments. His job was to monitor drugs coming from Colombia to Mexico. But in 1989, the gang's leader was caught by agencies, and the gang broke apart. Taking advantage of the situation, El Chapo formed his own gang, which he named the Sinaloa Cartel. Now, drugs were being transported to America through two routes. Most drugs came through the Caribbean, and the second route was the Mexican borders. American agencies had focused all their attention on the Caribbean, and many drug dealers and gangs had already been caught. El Chapo took advantage of this and, using different channels, began sending drugs to the USA. He cultivated many drugs, including methamphetamine, heroin, ecstasy, cocaine, and marijuana. Cocaine gave him the most profit, so he focused more on it. But sending drugs to the USA was not easy, and for this, he used extreme cleverness. In the beginning, he smuggled drugs with less smell, such as cocaine, by hiding them in fire extinguishers, chili pepper cans, or car rims, which even drug-sniffing dogs couldn't detect. But the problem was that other drugs couldn't be smuggled this way. So he adopted a method that became his identity: tunnels. He invested millions of dollars, hired experts, and built underground tunnels with proper electricity and ventilation systems. Through these tunnels, he started smuggling drugs into the USA. In 1990, officers of the Federal Bureau of Investigation were shocked when they found El Chapo's first tunnel. That tunnel was 300 feet long and had a complete electricity setup. The tunnel opened inside a house that served as El Chapo's safe house, and in case of emergency, he could escape through it. El Chapo knew all the rules of this business, which is why, despite many attempts, he was not caught. In November 2010, another tunnel was found in Otay Mesa with similar facilities, but in addition, there was a rail system used to transport debris during construction and later drugs. In 2012 in Tijuana, in 2013, again in Otay Mesa, more tunnels were discovered. Due to his extraordinary expertise, El Chapo and his gang came to be known as the King of Tunnels. He built his tunnels so deep that even ground-penetrating radar machines couldn't detect them. He cleverly hid the entrances of tunnels, such as under bathtubs or toilets. Before building tunnels, he carefully selected locations. He decided to carry out most of his smuggling near the U.S.-Mexico border in the city of Otay Mesa, California. He chose Otay Mesa for 3 reasons. First, it was close to 2 major transport hubs, Tijuana and San Diego, making it easier to transport drugs. Second, it was an industrial area with many factories, and the noise of heavy machinery made it easier to dig tunnels because the digging noise was hidden within the factory noise. Third was the soil of the area. Since one side of the city is near the sea, the soil remains soft, making digging easier, while the other side has mountains that strengthen the ground, preventing tunnel collapse. This area was ideal for tunnels. On June 9, 1993, Mexican authorities finally arrested El Chapo and sentenced him to 20 years in prison. But even this prison became like his office. He bribed prison staff to get every facility he wanted and even arranged business meetings so his operations could continue. In 2001, the Supreme Court of Mexico passed a decision that made prisoner transfers between the USA and Mexico easier. El Chapo knew that due to drug smuggling, the U.S. government would eventually bring him to the USA, from where escape would be nearly impossible. So he planned his first escape from a Mexican prison. He bribed prison guards with $200,000 and escaped by hiding inside a laundry basket. For the next 13 years, due to his tunnels, drug trade, and other crimes, he remained uncaught and continued troubling both U.S. and Mexican authorities. But after 13 years, Mexican agencies discovered his exact location and raided his house. This time as well, he had arranged his escape. He entered a secret tunnel under a bathtub in the bathroom, but authorities didn't let him go far and caught him again. This time, he was sent to Mexico's most secure prison, Altiplano Maximum Security Prison, where he was kept under strict surveillance. But after just 1 year, while he was walking in his cell, he was last seen near the shower area. The shower area was the only spot not visible to cameras. After about half an hour, when he wasn't seen on camera, the cell was inspected. By the time guards entered, El Chapo was gone. He had cleverly enlarged the shower drain and created a tunnel connected to a larger tunnel below, which led to a nearby construction site. This tunnel was 33 feet underground and wide enough for a person to easily pass through. But this time, his freedom didn't last long. Mexican Marines raided his safe house in Los Mochis, and after intense resistance, he was captured once again. This time, the U.S. government didn't want to take any risks, so Mexico handed El Chapo over to the USA, where he is now serving a life sentence in a supermax prison in Colorado. But the reality is that no matter how much security there is, the U.S. government always fears that El Chapo might escape again. Hope you will like and share this video as well. Thank you very much for your lovely comments. See you in the next amazing video.